Welcome to Ukraine Update on the Shills, the show where Russian propaganda gets wrecked, fascists get roasted, and freedom gets the last word. Hope your week's been better than Steve Witkoff's handy with Putin. 4.5 hours of grip and grin diplomacy that left everyone wondering if he was negotiating peace or just trying to get his pee-pee tape from leaking. And if that wasn't enough, the only entertainment we got this week came from Chinese state media mocking MAGA with AI-generated videos of MAGA assembling sneakers in sweatshops. Turns out...
Sorry.
Oh, no, that was great. But it turns out when you wage a trade war without a plan, the only thing you manufacture is regret. I mean, I feel sorry for those dire wolves of all the times not to be extinct. I'm Slavi, and let's say hello to the panel. Hi, Dick. How's it going?
Good. Crazy. We've got setup issues galore in the background. Commander can't really hear us, but we can hear him, and we're trying our best. And some days they say the sky is falling. Well, it fell, and I got to pick it up afterwards.
Sounds just like how this week has been. The sky has been falling because it's been absolutely dumpster fire news. Well, if we can't hear Commander Macmillan, hopefully we'll be able to hear him a little bit later. But Rudy, how's it going?
It is going pretty good. Yeah, it has been a crazy week. So much stuff has been going on. So yeah, can't wait to talk about it.
Insane. And we have Chungus, a new friend. I think we're also streaming on Twitch with him. Chungus, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, I'm over on YouTube right now. Doing pretty good. Started my vacation today, Renegade Chungus. Starting my birthday tomorrow. I'm going to have my birthday. So looking forward to some birthday donations on my Car for Ukraine fundraiser. If anybody wants to throw me one, that would be fantastic. I'm going to go hide out on the coast for a day, share a birthday with my niece, and then we're going to run to Lake Amador and do some epic trout fishing with my kids. So it's going to be a blast. Excellent.
Sounds like a good time, and happy early birthday. And I hope we do get those birthday donations in. And then we have, of course, Claire from Cars for Ukraine. How's it going?
Hi, Slavi. Hi, Dick. Hi, everybody. Going very well here down in Australia. We're hitting autumn, so it's starting to cool off. And this is our wet season in the subtropics, so we're getting a lot of rain. But yeah, just enjoying the group with the fundraiser. It's always a bumpy ride. And this week, very excited to see Somebody Loves the Shills. And you had a big booster, which was loads of fun. Yeah.
Yes, that was
mystery person. I don't know if you know who it is. I'm assume you do, but
I have an idea, but nobody has stood up and claimed it. So
claim the glory.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was a 10,000 one-drop donation. Wow. Yes.
Fantastic. Well, anyway, it got us another truck going through the whole campaign, so it's very exciting.
Very much so. Yeah, let me just bring this up here. Look at that right there. 11,000. Wow.
So I'm looking at this on another website page, and we're not playing. Are we playing?
That could be a clue there. Is that in euros or dollars?
Euros.
That's euros.
Okay.
Yeah. Are we playing? What do you mean? Are we live?
Yeah. Because I've got it open on another web page, and I'm not getting any stream happening.
Mine's not going. Something happened.
Interesting.
We're not actually playing. We're chatting away to ourselves, not the audience.
No, I've got it up. It's up, I believe. Well, hold on.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all those who identify however the hell you want. This is How Not to Stream with myself and some other clusters.
There we are.
Ah, you're up.
You're up. You're up now.
You're up, Asia. So
Okay.
we're oh,
Struggle is real today.
oh yes, yeah. We still can't get Commander with his headphone thing. It's not working. You know, when it rains, it pours, fellow babies. What are you gonna do? How there's nothing else to say, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna dink around a little bit more in the background, trying to get Commander's thing working again. If anybody would like to take us somewhere to get us started, that would be great. Oh man. Oh.
Well, was that Commander? Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, did we hear something? Who was that?
Me.
Commander, is that you? Say something.
Traffic.
Wow. Commander sounds like a 747 coming in for a crash.
And looks like
Oh,
one
right.
too.
Yeah.
Ah, Commander, look at that face.
Yeah. There.
I don't think he could hear us either.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Commander, can you hear us now? Can we hear you?
Give a thumbs up.
Commander's here in spirit only today, folks.
You looked frozen there for a second too.
He's in the zone.
Yeah.
Look, we can say nasty things about him too.
Oh God, don't do it, Claire.
Well, that would just make this the end time show then. You know, we shouldn't do that.
Not at all.
Hey, Phil's joining us. Let
Too
me just
awesome.
get this sorted out for him here. I'll put him in number 7 here. All right. Hold on, Phil. You're almost on the show. Oh, where is he? There he is.
Hey guys.
Oh
Hey.
shit, there he is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Made it.
Sorry guys.
Okay. Where's here? I'll go like that. Go like that. There we go. Now we got Phil. All right. There. Okay.
Well, don't go out of your way because I'm not staying long. I'm sorry. I'm right in the middle of an edit for this week's edition of On the Edge. And my buddy, who is my editor, is going to be sending me something in about 20 minutes. So I didn't want to abandon you, but I got to get this shit ready for Sunday.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Oh, yeah. There's a lot. Yeah.
Pressure.
Bill,
Yeah.
I gotta say your beard looks extra fresh.
I was about to say the same
No,
thing.
it needs a trim. Needs a trim. Needs a trim.
He's got full on Santa mode going here, folks.
Yeah. He needs his red cap.
So,
we have a good episode. Sorry to interrupt. I really, literally just popped in. The reason why I can't stay long is that I have a guy who's on this week who is a former advisor to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and he's also a guy who was high up in the foreign ministry talking with the U.S. And so I really and unfortunately, I interviewed him like literally 6 hours, 10 hours before the announcement that we were going to be changing our ambassador here. So it kind of changed a whole bunch of the context of our conversation. So my poor editor, he's had to cut out a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm kind of preoccupied with that right now.
Yeah, no, that'll make a big change, won't it? Damn it.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah,
whole thing.
damn it. I was not a big fan. I was not a big fan of Brink. But I understood, having given the years of working with the diplomatic corps, that sometimes you can't be as forthright as you'd like to be. And I think she I think she's a victim of a transition between the Biden administration and the Trump administration, and she probably should have kept her head below the parapet.
And
She
what
put
are you
out
doing?
this.
You know,
Yeah, I know.
You can
I know. You're
just
caught
take your
between.
time.
You're caught between. You're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Yeah.
Is if you continue to try and do something beneficial to Ukraine, but you know that if you are to push against the wave of the Trump administration, that you'll be drawing attention to yourself and thereby making yourself vulnerable. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, yeah.
I'm
Sometimes you've
not.
got to speak up.
Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe the whole thing about Krivi Rokh was the reason for her dismissal. That she didn't point out that it was the Russians who attacked. I think she was. It was a ticking time bomb for her to be released or to be replaced. So
They're going to put in some real Trumpist type person who'll just try to rip Ukraine to shreds, won't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, she was not great, but she wasn't awful. You know, the whole thing she did with getting energy and transformers to Ukraine in the last winter period was greatly appreciated, and I don't think properly acknowledged. But she, you know, she was in a no-win situation. There was no way she was going to stay for a long period of time.
When did she start?
She was appointed by Biden, I think, in 20, I want to say 24, 23.
Yeah, so she was going anyway.
But she wasn't
one of her own people.
Oh yeah. She was going to go at one point, no matter what. But had she not put her head above the parapet with the whole attack on Krivi Rokh, she could have stayed longer. Maybe. I don't know. But regardless, we're now going to get a Trump ambassador. And that's going to be a problem.
A big problem.
So I'm sorry to see her go. She was not perfect. She, I think, did her best. But without her, we're going to get, God only knows, you know, from the Trump administration. So
when you've got RFK Jr. running the health department, you already know all you need to about what's coming.
Yeah, Jackson Hinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody ghastly. That's for sure. It's going to be somebody that is prepared to say the most outrageously horrible things.
Yeah.
And possibly, you know, straight to they'll say it in front of the camera. I don't know what they say behind the camera, whether they really speak like that to each other behind the camera. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure it'll get linked in a WhatsApp chat soon or something.
Yeah, well, I just wish I was on the stock market signal chat group. You know, I could have done with a heads up. I had $10 ready to invest.
Yeah, I would have liked the heads up that Marjorie Taylor Greene got when she left the market and went over to Treasury bonds at the exact moment she needed to. Nothing fishy there. No.
Can
Insider.
anybody
Yeah.
verify that she's actually now being investigated for insider trading, or is that just fake news?
I haven't seen anything official. So at this point, it's still just sources, right?
Well, even if she does, it won't matter because what Trump is doing is turning the American government into a clone of the Moscow government, and they will not pursue anybody that doesn't have. They won't pursue anybody who isn't a compromising
if you're
element.
If you're a hardcore loyalist, you're all right.
No, you're fine. Yeah. That you can do anything you damn well want to.
Yeah, and you could do it with your couch or on your couch. It really doesn't matter to them. I never.
But to think that America has turned into a clone of Putin's Russia is
beyond mystifying.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. I had the concern that this was going to happen, but I never thought it would happen this quickly, and I never thought it would happen without more resistance.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see America turn into post-Soviet Russia,
I'm surprised
which is to say Putin's Russia.
In a month.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't write a book before he came to office, maybe title it My Struggle or something.
Witkoff looked like he was one step away from throwing his heart to Mars when he met Putin. He was just a second away from doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that hand on the heart deal? What was that?
What, this one?
No, when Witkoff greets Putin in the big Putin room, whatever that's called, he puts his hand on his heart before he shakes hand with Putin. It's the most disgusting looking
I think,
moment of obsequiousness.
That's what my joke was about. But it seemed like he was more like it was a relief, because I'm pretty sure it's very Russian thing. He waited for hours and hours to meet with Putin.
Right.
So it was more of a relief before he gave a hand job to Putin. So his pee-pee tape would not be leaked. So.
Love it. Oh, love it.
Well, I mean, they're working in conjunction. It's very difficult to articulate because I talk to people who are inside intelligence communities, whether it's the United States or the UK or even Russia, and obviously here in Ukraine. They're pulling strings that are making Trump dance to a certain tune, and it's not like a tinfoil hat kind of situation, whereas it is so much we all kind of agree we're just going to divide up the world, and this is how things are going to be, and screw democracy, and the man is compromised. The man is compromised. I know that, like, when I say that, that I get a lot of pushback.
I'm with you.
Well, I know this community. I know this community understands this, but it's very difficult because they've done this professionally and they're very skilled at it. That to be able to say that a huge stretch of American body politic, and it's not just American; it's also the Brits, the French, the Germans, the Italians. The Russians have engaged in a series of information warfare campaigns that make even denying that they are involved in our body politic is to be dismissed.
Yeah.
It's to be ridiculed. And so you can't even say, hey, there's a lot of shit that Trump or Le Pen or Farage, or there's a lot of shit that's really, really questionable.
Yeah, man.
About what they're doing. And we are met when we point out these criticisms, we are met with, you're a bunch of conspiracy theorists.
Right.
You're a bunch of tin pot, you're tinfoil hat guys.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be treated like a flat earther for something that's fundamentally accurate.
Exactly. There is a far difference between there's a flat earth, whereas Russia is actively engaged in the information warfare campaign to destabilize the West.
That's right.
And somehow we have gotten to a point where those are equatable. And that's not equatable. You motherfuckers who believe there's a flat earth, everybody kind of agrees. Okay. All right.
Lunatics, fine, yeah.
Right. But to dismiss the idea that Russia is engaged in information warfare and equate that with the flat earthers.
Social media is the best thing that happened to them in the last 40 years, because it gave them such a powerful weapon.
Yeah. I guess that's it.
Well, it's why I created the damn channel. It's why we're here now.
Good on you, Philip.
Yeah.
Good on you, Philip. If only I could get you to put on links, it would be good, of your fundraiser.
You make me feel guilty. I'll try to be better.
Speaking of which, Phil, look at that. We already topped the truck out, but we had one person throw in 10,000. So let's.
Hey guys, if I may add to that on the Trump part, I know I bring it up every panel I've been on about the video that I did a reaction to, that Trump is a KGB agent. The material in that video is so spot on to what is happening now. It's uncanny. I even got a hold of, I got the editorial company's email. It's my friend's old editorial company. I'm going to reach out to them and see if there's any way that any of it can be verified, or where they got their sources from. Because it's coming to fruition, everything in there, from him being compromised from Ivana Trump, his first wife, through the Czechoslovakian KGB, which was part of the USSR, which connects over to Russia currently. It's uncanny. I mean, for anybody to deny this is happening, look, he tariffed penguins before he did North Korea and Russia, for crying out fucking loud. Yeah. They're doing it in plain sight, just like Russia. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I have spent 30 years working in the intelligence community, within the defense community. With I got contacts that go back a long, long way, and there are people within the intelligence, security, and defense community who will openly say to me that they know that Trump is compromised, but they will not say it publicly,
right?
Because if you do, you are gonna come under fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to what aim? Nobody on his side will believe it, and we all believe it anyway. So it gets to that point that you're only going to put your neck out if you've got something that really can make the difference,
right?
And they just won't believe it. So until they go broke, is the only hope we've got.
Yes, there is no silver bullet.
is my thought. Bring back the tariffs so Americans go broke. I mean, it's the only thing that's going to save the country.
Especially after the tax breaks. The Carpathian in the chat there. We have secret spy footage we can share with you right now. I'll let you guess where this footage is coming from, but this is live. We gained quick access to JD Vance's, and that is the couch.
Oh, I was like, RFK's brainworm.
Oh, I'd hate to be the staff that have to clean that thing.
I'm sorry to come and go so quickly, but I just got message from my editor that the next version of the episode is ready for me to review, and we kind of have a short period of time. But Claire, I promise you, I'll try to do better. I've just been kind of.
I know everybody's overwhelmed,
with the
right?
show.
Everybody's
Well,
overwhelmed.
I'm trying to
with
put the
this
show
case.
out. I'm trying to put the show out, and so
Yeah. Phil,
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Hey, Phil, before you go,
you Canadian piece of shit. Fuck you cannot.
Hey, have you bumped into John Sweeney while you're over there lately? Have you seen anything from him? Is he still in
John's not here now. John's in London. John and I are mates. John and I are very close. In an enclosed environment, because I really don't want to get involved in a flame war. But those of us in this community, if we're in a social media atmosphere, there's nothing for it but for me to simply say, do be wary of some people who are on social media who are kind of like bringing the MAGA world into this conflict. And there's a guy by the name of JP Lindsley who, if you see his tweets, ignore them because they're bad.
Miles, what happened
Well
to
done.
him?
Yeah, it's a again, if I wasn't like running off to finish some edits and grab a bite, I would I'd go into depth because I got into it with him because he was a former kind of a protege of Roger Ailes, and came here 3 years ago, and that's fine. I'm not a guy who is like, you have to meet a certain criteria before you can comment on Ukraine. But he's bringing a lot of traffic, a lot of baggage from his whole, and he's MAGA. So he's bringing a lot of
it's
baggage.
never a
from
good
that.
thing.
Not a good thing. You cannot be both MAGA and pro-Ukrainian. I'm sorry.
No, you can't.
No, you can't, because so much of what MAGA is about is who is a good American and who is a bad American. And if you know your Ukrainian history, a major part of the problems that exist here is because who gets to be a good Ukrainian and who isn't a good Ukrainian. And that is influenced by the empires that are trying to control this territory, most predominantly the Russians. So this is anathema. MAGA is anathema to the idea of the country that Ukraine is trying to build,
Right.
in which there is a multiplurality of cultures and identities and things like that. And if you are MAGA, you believe that we all have to be kind of on the same page. Well, we don't have to be on the same page. We have to engage in the democratic, process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't want to bring up beef.
So Phil, just before you go, there was discussion this week about partitioning up Ukraine with Berlin.
No, won't work.
Is
will
that
not work.
it's been very controversial, that's for sure. Not well, like everybody seems on the surface to have misinterpreted the idea because Berlin wasn't. Berlin was divided for protection purposes, it seemed to me. But I mean, what's your take on the whole thing? Because you'd know more.
Well, I think you can't do it in Ukraine because if you were to partition Ukraine in the way that's being promoted,
Stupid.
it will only provoke another war in a year, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. It doesn't resolve the intrinsic issue that exists here. Is Ukraine a sovereign state with its own multicultural identity, or is it a pawn of an imperial conflict that goes east, west, south, and east, west, north, and south?
Yeah.
Ukraine must be sovereign. This must stop.
I agree.
The battle over, are you Austro-Hungarian? Are you Ottoman?
Mm-hmm.
Are you Russian? Are you German? No, you're Ukrainian.
Right.
And that debate has existed for centuries, and it must be resolved. Because if it is not resolved, then in only a matter of time, Moscow particularly will come back and pursue dominion.
Mhm.
And that has to be shut down.
Yeah, it has to be like
stop.
has to be like we do it up here, man. You know, everybody is from everywhere, but we're Canadians.
Yeah, you have Quebecois.
Yeah, man.
You have the Quebecois. You have Vancouver. You have British Columbians. You have I mean,
you've got two languages.
in America.
Yeah.
In America, look at America. We have influences from so many different countries.
Totally.
Yeah.
But we still have the common identity of America.
Yeah.
And what Russia wants to do, and what unfortunately there are other elements that also want to do, is to divide Ukraine and conquer.
Mhm.
And Ukrainians themselves, and Slavi, perhaps you'll support me in this, they recognize that the division of the different ethnicities within the country, which resulted because of different empires trying to control this crucial strategic area of land, they don't really give a shit about Ukrainian identity. They're using this in a chessboard, and that needs to stop. And I'm hoping that this conflict ultimately will resolve this, and mostly with the Russians and the Muscovites. I don't know. Slavi, you're Ukrainian, correct?
Anything needs to be carved up. It's Mother Russia.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree. Yeah, everything that Phil said, it must be stopped. And I think what's most important is, what are Ukrainians saying? And we shouldn't let what's his name, Kellogg, to just carve up Ukraine. Like who the hell is he? It's what the Ukrainians want. It's what that's all. That's all what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. We can't listen to a man who's one step away from being named Cornflake,
Well, if you know the story of the Kellogg brothers, there's a lot of disturbing things there.
Yeah.
But look, I'm gonna hop off. But look, the important thing is to recognize that Ukraine is not a colony.
Right.
That's what my Don was about. That Ukraine is not dependent on other empires. It is a sovereign state. And it isn't just that Moscow is the a dominant empire that controls Ukraine. Although, it is. But Ukraine has also been this strategic area of landscape that both the Europeans and the Russians have kind of tried to play as a game. And that period is done. And the lesson isn't just needed to be learned in Moscow. It needs to be learned in Brussels, and it needs to be learned in Moscow. This is a sovereign state. This is a country called Ukraine, and it will not bend the knee to anybody.
And it includes Crimea.
Allies, and it includes Crimea, and it includes dominion of the Black Sea, because it is a participant in the in what happens in the Black Sea, whether it is naval power or whether it is mercantile power. And Ukraine must be respected as a sovereign, independent nation, both by the West and by the East. And so, as somebody who lives here and somebody who is trying to give voice to these people, as a foreigner, admittedly, it's still something we need to be aware of. We don't determine the fate of Ukraine. Ukraine determines the fate of Ukraine. We can pick a side, and we should pick a side. And if it's up to me, I think it's clear the side I choose. But this is a sovereign nation, and it is long past time that both Western imperial powers and Eastern imperial powers recognize that they don't get to choose shit.
Well
So
said, man.
when you get guys coming over from DC saying we can make this some sort of DMZ or some sort of checkpoint Charlie division of powers without consulting with the Ukrainians themselves, it is not viable.
Right.
The people of this country are going to say "fuck you" to
Rightfully
both
so.
DC and Brussels and Moscow. So it's not any disrespect to the Western, those Western powers. It is simply the fact that this place should be sovereign. This place should be independent.
100%.
So,
Yep. But what we're also talking about is their war capacity, isn't it? It's the support from foreign states and how much they can do without certain countries supporting them. And then what happens if they don't get that support? So it's not just the fact that Ukraine will fight on regardless, it's how well they'll fight on. I mean, that's what we're really
and
talking
how many
about.
people have to die?
Yeah.
They will die. They would, let me, living here in Ukraine, they will die. They will fight. They will take a fighting position as a civilian on a corner in some strategic location in a city, and they'll fight and they'll die.
Yeah.
The only question is, how many Ukrainians are we willing to watch die before we decide whether or not, we're gonna get our shit together or not?
Yeah.
And this is fourth year in. I remember talking about the same thing that Phil just said in the first year. How many Ukrainians are we willing? And this is fourth year in, and the same conversation is happening.
Exactly,
Mhm.
Slavi.
Yeah.
Claire, I promise you, I will try. No, I won't just try. When we put out our next episode of On the Edge, I will include the link. I'm still learning.
I hate to tell you, but you also need to say something about it at the end.
I'll make an independent. No, I'll make an independent video. Is what I intended.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Phil. Oh, look,
I'm
we've got
sorry.
Andrew.
I've got the show that I have to produce,
Yes, yes, I understand.
and it
And
takes up a lot of time and a lot of effort. But
we're
I'll do
living in
better.
huge times. It's everybody's overwhelmed. I get that. No, I mean it's all about
I
Ukraine. It's
promise
not
you,
about
I'll try
me.
to do better. And for the entire audience, I see Mercado is coming online, so he'll. There he is. There he is.
There I am.
There's the man.
Phil, it's not
so
about me. It's about Ukraine, isn't it? I mean, it's not got nothing to do with
For
me.
all of
really.
us. For all of us, Claire. No,
Yeah.
I'm trying to assuage my guilt.
Okay.
I promise I'll try to do better. But I have been kind of preoccupied with the episodes and what I'm doing with On the Edge.
Don't forget I'm policing. I'm watching you all.
Oh, bloody hell. That sounds threatening. All right, everybody. I love you all. Slava Ukraine. Let's stay together. You all know that I support Ukraine. I'll try to do better. I'll try to do better.
We know.
I gotta go because
Get it together, Phil.
Yeah.
Fuck you. But my editor just sent me he didn't just send me. He sent it to me about 20 minutes ago. The latest edit that he's done with the episode. We're doing a thing with a guy who used to be a advisor to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, but he was also involved in the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry, and so he has contacts within the U.S. So we kind of do a discussion about it. But sadly enough, we talked about it right before the U.S. ambassador declared she was leaving, so it's a little bit dated.
Happens fast.
yeah, it's crazy these days. So look, I love you all. All the best to you. I stand with you.
You're sitting down, Phil.
I feel. Fuck. I, in principle, in standing with you, and obviously, I'm trying to do my thing with the show, but I promise you that I will try to do my best.
I just feel as though you've got a lot more depth, Phil. I feel as though the people following you are very different to the people following a lot of the other shows, and so there's an opportunity for you to really make a bit of a splash. So good luck.
I'll try. I promise. I give you my word. I give you my word.
Love the show, so keep producing the show as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. Keep doing what you do.
I love you all.
Take care, buddy.
Of yourselves.
See you soon.
Stand strong. Stand strong. Stand together.
All right.
Take care.
Okay. If it takes him that long to say goodbye to us, can you imagine what like a family dinner is like in his family? You know,
that was like a Minnesota goodbye, but like times two.
I've really been a fan of the Irish goodbyes. I just learned what it is, and I love it.
What is it? What is it? Tell us.
Does it involve alcohol?
It's Irish, I guess. No, you just don't say anything. You just leave.
Oh, wow.
That's my preferred strategy at this point now. I love that. That's my favorite move now. Just leave.
Away.
Yeah.
Don't say goodbye to anybody.
I like it.
It's great.
I like it. We're going to do that at the end of the show. I'm just going to go, okay, thanks. Boom. Just hit the button.
Is that what Trump did with the tariffs? He did an Irish goodbye.
We'll see if you don't say goodbye to anybody, then you don't feel bad for missing a couple people and like, oh dang, I forgot to say goodbye to this person. Nah, you just leave.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like the strategy.
Uncalled for to say goodbye to every single person.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm sure nobody wants to listen to you saying goodbye either.
Right. You're like calling attention to yourself at that point. Then it's like, oh, now everybody has to like look at him leave, and it's like, no, thank you. I'd just rather leave.
Yeah, it just turned it all to yourself, and therefore it's not even genuine anymore.
Yeah,
right?
And it's not even my place. It's not even my party. Like, why am I saying goodbye? You know,
like announcing to everyone, I am leaving.
Yep, that's how I feel. I agree.
So how's it going, Andrew? What's happening?
Good. Recovering from norovirus.
What a hit that is!
Yeah, I'm on the up and up now though. So today's good. Yesterday was like mid. Day before was bad. It was the same day I got back from DC. We just did the action summit for Ukraine.
Yeah,
at the American Coalition for Ukraine. So there were over 600 delegates from all 50 states. All 50 states went to it. It was the biggest action summit that we've had. I've been to 4 of them since fall of 2023. Because 2023 I went to Ukraine like 3 times, and then I went to the action summit to go and see what the heck the legislation to Congress was looking like, because that's what these action summits do. We go to Capitol Hill, we have meetings with Congress, like our senators and our representatives, and we go advocate for legislation and policy. Like the F-16s, we helped do that. The supplemental funding bill, we helped do that. The long range missiles, finally, right? It takes a while after we get there, but we had to platform the bills and help whip it, or when we blitz the Hill, like when you see nothing but Ukraine representatives on the Hill at the same time, it's like all the Congress people see it, and like they all see us with our Ukrainian pins on our ties and the lanyard. Awesome. And so it's like a really effective way, because you can go to Congress whenever. Like you can schedule an appointment to go up there in Washington DC whenever you want, as long as it fits into their schedule. But they schedule this summit to be on the same 2 days, so all of us are up there and you can't miss us. Like
if you do schedule one and it happens to be January 6th, I suggest don't bring weapons.
yeah, don't do that. But yeah, so we went up there. Reality is it's Trump is president, right? So we're not going to be able to get any type of bill like an F-16 bill or a long-range missile bill or even a bill that has a weapon on it, to be honest. Right. Like, I'm just being so serious. So the best we had, and this is it, is if Russia breaks peace, then sanctions. So we had sanctions. That's the best we got right now, and it's actually led by a Republican in Congress.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. So that's the one positive. But it's going to be like a Noah's Ark type bill where it's like bipartisan, where you bring like 2 Democrats on, you got to bring 2 Republicans, like, or like 2 Republicans. You got to wait for another Republican to sign on, for another Democrat to sign on, and then the whip like helps keep that going in the Congress. But yeah, so only major legislation would be that, if possible, would be sanctions on Russia if they break Trump's peace negotiations or whatever that means. And then policy agendas, we just talked about the missing children. We talked about the frozen funds that we still have access to, both the United States and Europe. Europe has until July for those frozen funds. And I think that was real. And then just talking about peace.
It's important to say they have until July, or it will go to Russia.
Yeah. Very important. Thank you, Slavi.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Can't Europe just hang on to it longer? Can't they make that decision themselves?
It's with Belgium. I'm not sure. I'm not up on the Europe one. The US one is not a lot of money though, but still it's money. But it's not as much as Europe has access to right now. And then it was the territorial expansion. Those are things we just talked to them about. There's nothing really to like advocate for legislatively. Like there's no bill for this, but we can just remind them, hey, like this is happening. Be aware. Are you aware of it? Or like, hey, and then they might say, well, I've introduced a bill for this, or I've been a part of this. The other positive that we got out of it locally in Minnesota, we have a U4U program. It might be national. I don't know. It's in Minnesota. It's the refugee program. And it's been like up in air for Ukrainian refugees coming that have escaped the war. And Senator Klobuchar and a few others have already signed on to a new bill that's going to address that problem. So that's a positive for here at home for Ukrainians that have fled the war, because that's still very important. But, we weren't able to do a whole lot like for direct aid to Ukraine to help like win the war or weapons or anything like that, like in previous summits. So, that was disappointing. It was cool to see the biggest summit ever still in 2025, right? Over 3 years later, people are like, it's still a massive issue for a lot of people. So it's good that this happens, and they have to continue to, right? It's the long game now. The reality is it's the long game, and we're in that now. So We can't just give up at this point.
Yeah, I think a good footnote to add to that too. A lot of people don't know that you can actually, if you can't make it to DC for the Ukrainian Action Summit and you were serious about advocating, you can set up a Zoom call with your representatives for the same time period.
Oh, cool.
So, just be prepared. Don't go in there with a freaking midday pub chat rant.
Yeah, like I'm serious though, because and it's cringe, but that's why it's 4 days long, and we get there on Sunday, and then Monday we spend all day in advocacy training and like meetings and like how to actually talk to them, because you can't just, like Chunga said, you can't just go in there and say, why the fuck don't you support Ukraine? You can't do that. I mean, you can like do it if you want, but like they're not going to listen to you. And
that's not effective.
Yeah, you're not going to be effective. I mean, you might feel effective though. You might get some, steam off your chest. Go to Marjorie Taylor Greene's office. Yeah.
Now that would feel good.
yeah, but it would be bad though. You got to be you got to be political. It sucks, and you got to wear a suit and dress up. But yeah, like Chunga said, have a plan, like practice. Like that's why I do like the Action Summit, because we get like a policy, like we get everything. It's all there in a cheat sheet, so I just read it over, put it in my brain, and then I don't even read a piece of paper. I just talk right to them.
Yeah.
So people have different strats. They keep notes, and then they refer to their notes, and then look up. I'm just talking to you at this point.
Right.
But yeah, it's not that I mean, you might be nervous the first time because you're talking to your congressperson.
Yeah.
And they're federal and big deals, whatever, I guess. But yeah, you might be a little nervous, but after you keep doing it and you continue doing it, it'll get easier over time.
Yeah. Good call, man. A couple things here. So Canty, how's it going? Welcome. How's things?
Canty. Oh, just waking up.
Yeah.
Good morning, Canty.
Long night.
Oh, that's funny. So fundraising going okay? Things good?
Seems to be going good.
Awesome.
Not much left before Easter, so we're pushing out the last of it.
Yeah, we got super lucky. Somebody dropped a 10,000 donation on our thing, and we got a truck done. Yeah, man. Yeah, one shot, Andrew. Boom, done.
Do you have a sound for that, Dick?
I've actually got a couple things we could do for that. So first we can go, and then for the big ones, we always bring it in with a horn, right? And we might have something that we could do. Let's see here. We can give it the old chat dance. And we can send our resident raccoon for a run there. Go Buckchuck. Woohoo! Buckchuck. Yeah, because he stands there pointing out the donations, which I'm going to get to, and then I want to turn to Chungus here. So let me get some shout outs done. We've got Petra Olsen in with 129 Swedish kroners with love to Ukraine and with love thou shall be sent. We've got the Weasel in with £5. Hello, everyone. Hello, Weasel. Thank you very much. We've got Niles G. Kunson coming in with 10 Shills membership. I think that was 11, but it's hard to get it right. Thanks, Niles. We got Yvonne Way coming in with a $5 super chat. She's queen of the super stickers around here. And we've got Yvonne Way again with another super message. Putin's puppet, the crazy orange, and I'll fill it in for Commander McMillan since he can't be here. Shit, Gibbon. And we got Michelle Esquera with a $10 super chat as well, just supporting the channel. Oh, thank you so much. What a great shout that is. And then we switch over to this other one, Ko-fi there, or Ko-fi, I don't know. And it's Joe Medley in with $20. Woo! For the summer beer fund. Stock up now. Oh, thou shall be done. Awesome, Joe. Thanks, everybody. Very cool indeed. One extra heart, just because you all deserve it so much. I want to switch over to Chungus here. How's reaction to the show going over your side?
Fairly well. It's pretty early. I got a lot of viewers from, internationally, but things are going well. Everybody's engaging. They're happy to see Canty in the chat. I had questions for Philip. He dipped out a little early, but other than that, things are going pretty well.
We'll get Phil in and do another group stream coming up again on the weekend coming if you want. So, because he's always got something to say. I just have to check something. I think my son's very elevated. So you guys can take it away for a second. I'll be right back.
Gosh.
No problem.
Okay, Slavi, over to you.
Yeah. Why don't we I was hoping Commander Macmillan would be here, but
Yes.
he's not. So let's go over. Well, Russia started a new offensive, and that escalated into a significant spring offensive, intensifying attacks across multiple fronts in Ukraine. Ukrainian military leadership reported a substantial increase in Russian military activities, particularly in the northern regions of Sumy and Kharkiv Oblast. Over 67,000 Russian troops have been relocated to the Sumy border for operation. Also, Ukrainian forces have captured 2 Chinese nationals fighting for Russia in eastern Ukraine, with intelligence suggesting over 150 Chinese citizens are involved in the invasion. President Zelensky has summoned the Chinese ambassador for explanations, raising concerns about foreign movement in the war.
There was at least 40 Chinese citizens confirmed through social media to have signed up willingly and headed off to Russia.
I actually have a theory on that. That it was actually planted by Russia because I believe that Russia didn't like that China and EU were getting closer,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I think it was a planted kind of.
Makes sense.
I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Interesting thought.
Yeah.
Did anybody hear the explanation given of why it was different to the Foreign Legion in Ukraine? Why Chinese fighting for Russia was different to the Foreign Legion in Ukraine?
No.
Because Zelensky came out with an explanation of why it was different. Because people were saying, well, what's the difference? There's foreign people fighting in Ukraine. But he came out with a clear explanation. I haven't had the chance to have a look at it yet.
It to me,
Obviously, nobody here has. I bet the commander has, but he's not here.
yeah. I mean, in my view of things, when the aggressor has multinational
Oh, he says, the commander says they were not foreign volunteers. They were volunteered by their government. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah. To me, it's more like, multinational gang up situation versus just international support on defense. I see that as completely different. Yeah, very much so. But the forced thing, very much. Yeah.
There's no way they're not going there without influence from their government. Their government's going to want intel on the fighting. They're going to want to have firsthand battle experience.
Yep.
And especially with Taiwan looming around the corner for them to take, especially with the Trump administration, it's all lining up for them to jump in there and try to take Taiwan. So why would they not want military experience?
Mhm.
To have that many amount of Chinese nationalists over there fighting, that's clear intentions from their government.
Yeah.
Well, another key thing to look at is Ukraine doesn't have foreign volunteers fighting in Russia.
Right.
Russia is having foreign volunteers fighting in Ukraine. That's a key point too.
Very much. Good.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the thing that everybody sort of sees, though, is it?
No, and that's why it's important to point that out.
Yes, exactly. You're right. Oh,
Interesting. Yes.
so we've got this mush in the world of various countries under financial distress because of the whole tariffs fiasco. And does anybody have any picture of where this will play out with regard the war in Ukraine and how the effect is going to really influence that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to pull us out of. I mean, we're going to have a focus on China, like we are. We're like, I feel like our attention is being drifted from everything between internally inside of the United States, like Elon Musk and Doge, taking our benefits away and like siphoning all of our money to billionaires. But also, supporting Ukraine on a state level. We're starting a trade war with China. It's getting to the point where I'm worried that that's going to be like the distraction But it's going to be like an actionable distraction that Trump's gonna like try to force us into it. And then also, is it okay if I share a little conspiracy I have?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, conspiracy, not truth. I'll let you know that now. All right, there's no facts behind this. I'm just guessing, right? Because this is what I'm worried about based on patterns. Where it's obviously most of us are going to be against war with China or like any type of a conflict with China, and I'm concerned that if we're outwardly about it, that we're going to be labeled communist, and then Trump is going to like act martial law and be able to put us in CCOT in El Salvador because we are opposed to America like puffing our chest to China or any type of a conflict with China because it's the Communist Party. But you know, I'm worried that they're just going to label us that if we're outwardly opposed to any type of stupid, dumb conflict.
They're already stepping on those into that zone right now with the protests, universities, Gaza. You know, like they're already very much. You cannot protest one side of this, only the other. You know,
that's where it starts. That's where it starts. That's why it's that's what the concern is, because it's like it's starting there, but then it's not going to stop there.
Right. As soon as the doors open a crack, it's free to open wide.
Right. And look, I mean, I was a child when we went to war in Iraq, but what did the counter protesters to the war get called? Did they get called anti-American or anything at the time, or anyone that was outwardly against the war on terror at first? I know what they were called during Vietnam. Documentaries, but you know, I'm wondering if anybody that protested against Iraq or Afghanistan, if you were labeled anti-American or were followed or anything at the time. I don't know. I was a child though. I got to look up that history.
Of course they were. Yeah, absolutely spot on. I'm sure they were. I mean, the war against terrorism was purely about America, in America's mind, and so it wasn't like involving any other state. It was just somebody was attacking America. So clearly, if you were speaking at all for the other states, you know, the Middle East or anything, then you were anti-American. Because it was the war on America.
Speaking of protest, the next hands-off rallies are April 19th.
Yep.
Right.
I'll be there.
Cool.
We had the biggest protest since 2020.
Yeah.
That's how I started, right? I started covering the Black Lives Matter protests at George Floyd's murder. And what I saw on Saturday, 2 weeks ago, Saturday now, right? No, last Saturday. What up? Yeah. That was the biggest protest I've seen since George Floyd's murder, and like everybody in Minneapolis.
Wow.
Like, filling the city with protests. Like the whole Capitol, like it was almost halfway to the cathedral, which is like, you know, 3 blocks away from the Capitol building in St. Paul.
Wow.
There were like 25,000 people at the Capitol.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, altogether, like nationwide, how many people came out to protest?
I mean, I see more. Yeah, I've seen a report from 5 million, but other reports say like in about 500,000, like 500 to 1 million. So
look, more than that. But.
Yeah. Yep. I've seen the reports of 5 million, like you guys are saying, but I've also seen like the 500 to like 1 million too. So it's
have
a lot.
Have you guys seen the social media reels about a Veterans March on July 27th happening at the Capitol? And it's more of a demand than a protest. I saw some social media posts about that. I'm kind of curious.
What is it again?
I haven't seen this one.
Veterans March to the Capitol on July 27th. I saw a post on a pretty popular TikToker that's been kind of spot on with stuff. I'm curious if anybody's heard of it.
I haven't.
No, not yet. I got to tap back in. I'm just getting better. So maybe I got to look at the Discord and I'm in there. I'm in the Discord. They have one for every state. They have a major one. It'll let me know. Cool. Yeah, I'll go. Is it in DC or is it just any state capital?
I think it's in DC. Actual March to the Capitol.
Oh, cool.
I'm in a little mountain town on the west side of the Rockies in Canada, and we even had a little rally in town, you know, and it's a little town, but they still did it, you know, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty big. Well, I mean, at least it looked big here in Phoenix. There was a ton of people out there, so it was pretty good.
Good to hear.
So with all these protests, I'm just seeing Lancer McMillan saying that basically there's going to be a rise of counter protests, those who support the MAGA position, so that you'll end up with two giant protests going on at the same time. And there's almost like one will be a deregistered protest and the other will be the pro-MAGA protest. So I think that's what he's suggesting, but he didn't say it in so many words. But so
we actually saw it. We saw it over here in Rockland. There was a counter protest during the hands off protest. It was a group out of the Rockland area. They actually got a hold of the representative there and said, "Hey, how do we stop the protesters?" Kevin Kiley was like, "We're not stopping the protesters. They're fucking ridiculous."
Didn't that happen with George Floyd? And didn't that lead to another guy with a gun on the street, young guy?
Yeah.
Shoot people or shoot himself? I can't remember, but
that was a nightmare situation, right? Holy.
Yeah,
he got away with it, didn't he?
Counter protests, because it's been kind of said that there's instigators. So the hands-off protest becomes violent, so they can so Trump can put martial law. That's exactly what they want to stop. The hands-off protest, non-violent protest, is for to get somewhat violent. So they have instigators.
Yeah.
So,
what will happen eventually if it gets bad? Like, I'm just being honest, because I lived through 2020 and riots and buildings burning down, and I saw the worst. So
crazy
it
stuff,
probably will happen eventually if it continues to get worse. Is there will still be the peaceful, the main one that goes to capitals, and there will be additional protests of people that are violent. Okay, and they're gonna like go and gather too separately. It'll be a whole thing, and they're gonna go and do their thing at some point, you know. And it's not gonna be up. And I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think it'll be up to the main peaceful protest to police the other one. Okay?
Right.
Like, there's the big main one that is absolutely peaceful. I've been covering it since February 5th. Right. I just know how humans work now. Okay. And eventually, if it continues to get bad and our benefits are taken and the situation continues to decrease, nothing's going to stop that. I saw it. I saw it from my own eyes. Right. Nothing will stop that, what people are worried about. But the main one, like Slavi says, is absolutely focused on being like, you know, just holding signs, standing and like gathering with thousands of people. And that's like still very effective. It's visually effective. It draws more people in, more so than any type of a violent, you know, the gathering or anything like that. So,
right.
But
the MAGA side did the violence with January 6th and everything. The worst thing that could happen would be to equal that or even come close to it. It must be peaceful people wanting peaceful change. It must be.
Yeah, I don't even know what that would look like too with a protest like this, because with 2020 and the Black Lives Matter movement, it was focused on the police. So like, you know, the police had the ability to like be violent, and then obviously the protest could be violent back, and it was like very much like a direct conflict on the ground, like often.
Yes.
And with this, it's like, you know, we're not really focused on the police. Like that's not really the protest focus. It's Elon Musk and like the government.
That's right.
You know, but so right now it's like, I think for a long period of time, and again, unless Trump deteriorates it more, which it's looking like that, I think there will be a separate contingent eventually that I'll be out there with the shit on again, wearing my gas mask and reporting from the tear gas. So.
Canty had a good one in the chat there. Love your country, fear your government.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, realistically, like if he really tries to propose a third term, like
it's coming. It's coming.
I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm gonna legally join a militia if that happens.
So. Oh, dude, I was thinking the same thing.
Yep. I'm getting a firearm, and I'm joining a Minnesota militia if he proposes a third one.
He has no respect for the American Constitution, as far as I'm concerned. He only gives a rat's ass for it when it benefits him. Otherwise, it's just in his way.
By the way, did you see the pins that he's making, like his office people at the government, where it's like gold pins of his head instead of the flag of America?
Oh my God.
Oh,
this guy is so full of himself. It's sickening.
Oh my
It really
God.
is disgustingly sickening.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Really
another
horrible.
thing I wanted to mention about the tariffs too. I don't think the tariffs are going to last long against China. What I'm seeing is like micro grifts, like a new grift every time. So they're going to do a micro drift where they do the tariffs, they move around their money in the stocks, make 200 billion here, then they move on to the next grift and
Yep.
just keep taking money until it's gone.
Yeah.
Extremely volatile, but it's not, you can't sustain this.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
seem not.
I think
The
they're already cooked for midterms. Like people are not going to forget this and how Trump literally manually tanked the economy.
Yeah.
Biden had it like Biden had the historic record GDP or not GDP. Sorry, Dow Jones Index.
Yeah. We have an award here. We have an award to give out here. So Isa H in the chat, this one's for you. Way
that's a
to
kangaroo,
go.
not a golden cock.
Yeah. You know, when somebody just has to troll like a troll can troll, you get the golden cock. So
Why put a kangaroo's head on it?
well, it's not here. Watch. It's not really a kangaroo's head. Look again. It's a donkey on a like a dildo thing.
Like a donkey dick.
It does look like a kangaroo head.
Yeah.
Yeah, donkey. Okay. Donkey dick. Excellent. Okay.
Hey, you gotta point out those that need their 30 seconds of fame in the most nasty way possible. Why be that person? Why can't you make friends properly? Well, what did your uncle do in the woodshed?
First thing I was thinking, I was like, is that an ass stick? What's an ass stick?
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Donkey dong. Yes. That's
Oh,
so all this financial chaos, how's it really affecting Russia, do you think? Do you think they're feeling it, or actually it just doesn't get through to them?
The war is affecting them more than I think these tariffs are right now. Like it's going to affect Americans. Like we're going to be we're going to pay $4,400 more for regular things.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt us more than Russia.
To be honest, I'm already feeling it bad. And it's, I mean, today they announced that the tariffs aren't effective for technology, for phones, laptops. But I mean, if you are doing business with clothes and any products that come out of China, you're done for.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Also medicine, a lot of the chemicals that in our meds come from China.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff on back order, and a lot of medicine is not happening. So I'm definitely feeling it already. I don't know about you guys, but it's been insane.
that sucks.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good that you can see it. That's
Just starting.
I don't want you to feel it, but I want people to see it so that they know.
Yeah. The
oil prices have really been affected. And do you think the Russians really feel that? Or is that like, like sometimes when there's huge financial things, you see the price of grapes go up or something like that, or like Slavi was saying, different things go up, but it actually doesn't inherently change the fabric of society unless it's super dramatic. But how do you think the oil prices are affecting Russia? Does anybody have any insight?
Well, the cost of production for Russian oil is about $45 a barrel. As long as they're getting above that, they're doing okay. But the thing that's really hurting them right now is India seized one of their tankers because
India.
Wow.
Yeah, it went into port without insurance. And so India seized one of their tankers, and then I think it was Estonia seized another tanker heading towards the Russian port. Yeah. So there's two of their tankers off the market. So
wow.
But they must have hundreds, right?
I'm getting the impression. I'm getting the impression through the reports I keep hearing scattered here and there that a lot of their fleet is decrepit at best. And so any good vessels that are taken out of rotation is got to hurt them at least a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, but aren't they just rented ships? They're not actually Russian ships because they're the Shadow Fleet. They rent them to carry oil. That's why they've got all foreign crew and they're registered in another country.
Commander McMillan's in the chat saying it's dozens of Shadow Fleet tankers. So, you know, out of dozens, any number of good ships does have an actual measurable effect, right? For sure.
Okay, dozens, not hundreds. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful for, you know, you've got to consider global recession is a possibility, and I just hope that if that happens, we'll be in a world of pain. But if it breaks up Russia, then it'll be kind of worth it. You know, we'll all actually survive it. We can grow potatoes or whatever. But if they break apart because they all go into too much financial distress to survive, then that'd be, you know, I'd be kind of content with that.
Very much.
Is that your feeling? Is that your feeling? That I feel as though the West will do better than countries that have no reserves like Russia.
Yeah,
spent
makes
it all
sense,
blowing.
right?
I think it really depends on what the population, how they respond to it too, because you have to look like a lot of the Russian population, they've been experiencing hardships their entire life, so they wouldn't really see a huge difference if they're already,
good point,
you know, they're already preset to having it rough. Here in America, you run out of fucking bags at the store, it's a goddamn riot.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think
Chungus saying is absolutely right. Russia has been in wartime economy for a while now. So whoever would feel anything like that probably left, and they probably won't. But most of the people, they've been in this wartime economy where the only way to kind of survive, because the government, they make them like run out of money and have a bunch of, and basically the only way to survive is to go to war, and that's their wartime economy. It's been like that for a while.
So then it depends on the government being able to pay them to go to war, because you know, it seems like in the Russian state, most people are on a state pension or
government doesn't need to pay them because they die. They don't care. They go on these meat waves, and I mean there's interviews of these women saying how can they're like, I don't know, 40-year-old hookers, Russian hookers. They're like, how can you get an apartment these days? And the other woman says, you know, you just find yourself a military guy, he goes to war, he dies, you get an apartment.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good. I'm into that scam. Anybody up for it?
Well,
I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give that a definite shot. How about it, Candy?
Well, I was reading a story the other day where there's like groups of women that are on their 6th, 7th, 8th husband that have been shipped off to war, and they're like camping out the recruitment centers to marry the guys to get the check when they die.
Wow.
Exactly. And see, that's what I mean, that they're already in that mentality. That's their wartime economy. They really
just
don't
gaming
give a
it.
shit.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
Wow. That's intense.
So then does recession have the chance to break the Russian economy of being able, that the government can't pay their soldiers to fight? Does it have any chance of having that outcome? Or do we just give up on that?
Honestly, I feel like the better method is tightening sanctions on Putin's friends. Like we just dropped sanctions on Karina Rottenberg, Boris Rottenberg's husband, who's close ties to Putin, and she was like quintessential in moving funds around to circumvent sanctions already. So us loosening sanctions on the oligarchs and the people that are actually making money, that's going to make the war more profitable.
Yeah. Yeah, Trump's once again playing to the rich. Couple of shout outs here. So we got White Fishy One in with a direct Ko-fi donation there. Ko-fi, I don't know, whatever. $20 too. To continue the fight and to remember we need to support Ukraine. Slava Ukraine. Heroam Slava. Great shout out. And then we got one in $80 direct donation in from Stephen Walsh. He says a smaller one today. That's not all that small there, Stephen. Thank you very much. He says he had to buy some borscht ingredients. Awesome. And needed to replace a Galco holster. Galco? Is that like, I don't even know what that is. I'll have to look it up. Here, let me look it up here. I have a thing. I'm not sure. I have to look it up better. But huge shout, Steve. Thank you very much, Mr. Walsh. All right. Very cool. Let me hit that again. Yes, I will figure that out in a minute. What was I going to say? I can't remember now. I got myself all distracted. It's gone. Who wants to jump? Who wants to do it? Oh, let's do a fundraiser look, shall we? So this is the entire fundraiser itself as a whole. There's 86,000 euros. Well, 86,714,000 euros in the pool so far, with a goal of 220,893 donations, which is awesome, everybody. And let me just flip it forward here. The Shills one directly is at 11,028. So huge shout, everybody. I'm going to find out who threw that massive one in, and, for sure have one of those, you have a few drinks and watch a movie online nights or something,
Are you going to do a reveal?
We were talking about the Russian Navy. I did have it in my news that Putin announced a $87 billion plan to modernize Russia's Navy over the next decade.
Really?
Yep. 87 billion.
That's
Yeah, but maybe they don't really have that. Maybe they announce it, but they really can't. I mean, they can't. There's no way you can be tearing up money this fast and blowing up all your money and still be able to do all the things that you have a plan for.
Yeah.
You actually can't. It's like owning a yacht for an individual person. It's just a sinking, it just destroys all your finances.
Oh,
and you can't also renovate your house, and you can't also go on that expensive holiday.
Yeah.
It's like you're tearing up money, surely.
Yeah.
See, all I can think of is that Russian jump carrier that's been in dry dock for 8 years being refurbished.
Yeah. Yeah, they barely keep it afloat.
Scrapped it,
yeah,
and made a new one.
I don't know if you saw Georgie Ukraine Matters video where he was in, I think he was in Kyiv when he made this statement, and he said, the Russians think they can afford to carry on this war forever. Well, they fucking can't. I took great hope from that comment.
It's good, valid point though. Absolutely, for sure. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. Okay, yeah, we got about 10-15 minutes here, and then I think my son's gonna start demanding my attention a bit more. But yeah, okay, so we're still good for a bit. I'm quite concerned about the political situation as it pertains to America and Ukraine, and it getting worse, not better. I wonder, is it possible? Is it all? And I think Commander's still here. Yes, he is. Is it at all possible that there could be any sort of grassroots Republican thing like, hey, we've got to save our party and get back to what it was. We can't let it just be this extreme MAGA thing anymore, or are they just going to ride this to destruction and then they'll have to rebuild the party from like the ground up later?
It's so dead. It's not even like
it's gone. It's
gone. Like that's hope. There's people that have hopium, and then that's all it is. I know people that still want to be in the Republican Party, and it's gonna come back. And no, it's not. And but then that person that says this isn't doing any grassroots efforts to make it still be a Republican Party. They're just coping at home. and then it's just being taking over even further. So yeah, Republican Party's dead. It's MAGA, and it will never return to the Republican Party until it becomes politically disadvantageous to be MAGA. But that is not the case right now.
Right.
Yeah, I think the better chance of change is going to be the reinvention of the Democratic Party. They need to go a little more to combat MAGA. You got to go a little more extreme. So they're going to have to really dive deep into what they want, what their policy is, what they believe in, and reevaluate their strategy. Yeah, I'm watching Gavin Newsom over here on a podcast in my state. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
That's cringe. So Democratic Party needs to go more progressive, in my opinion. They tried going mid, center, right, and that did not work. You don't pull right wingers that way. They just basically want maybe a different Trump, but like not him. So that can't happen, because then you're also going to lose a giant portion of your left leaning base too. So they got to go more. It's got to be a populist progressive, in my opinion, for the Democratic Party, for them to even have a shot. If it's going to be another mid-tier, Kate Middleton, like not even somebody that can push the needle.
Right.
That's probably going to be the same result as 2024.
I don't think they're getting the message, because did you see that thing they passed around with them all doing the little boxing pose or whatever, that little cringy video?
Yeah.
Lord, man. We had a question in from a viewer, Sarah. It's for you, Andrew, there. She asks, can Mercado elaborate on the EU returning the Russian frozen assets? She wasn't clear on what was being said there.
Yeah, let me try to get the exact number. So actually, we had an article just come out from Yahoo Finance from 9 hours ago that that they're calling on the European Union to use the frozen Russian assets to boost defense. Spain is proposing this right now, so there actually is motion on the frozen assets for Europe right now. I'm going to go over it on my stream tonight, because I had brought it up and I wasn't able to provide an update on that. But there's about 200 billion in Russian central bank assets held in Europe that could be used to help Ukraine, and so Spain is moving on that today. It looks like. I just looked it up right now. Yep. So there's U.S. frozen Russian assets, and there's European Union frozen Russian assets, and Europe has until July to unfreeze those and give them to Ukraine.
Otherwise they go back to Russia.
Yeah. Otherwise they go back to Russia.
Oh, right. So there's only two options.
Yep.
That should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
How come they can't just refreeze them? Why isn't that an option?
Rules with the Bank of Belgium, because that's why people bank there. Because they don't abide by any other rules other than their own for their bank. But that's why people bank there,
right?
Including Russia.
Yeah. It's a very popular place.
Well, they won't anymore.
Yeah.
They won't anymore. But so the rules of the bank not override the giving of the funds to Ukraine?
They care about money.
Yeah, theirs is only a bottom line answer, right? They don't.
Yeah, they don't. They're not swayed by emotions for what's right. It's just money.
Yeah, right? But they want the Russians to keep investing in their bank, so they don't want the funds to go to Ukraine, it would seem.
Likely not. Yeah, it's 200 billion of money in the bank that bank would lose too.
Yeah. The world can't let it go to Russia. It has to go to Ukraine. It just has to.
If it goes back to Russia, obviously they'll use it for the war.
Sorry, Rudy?
No, if it goes back to Russia, they'll obviously use it for the war, and they're the aggressor. I mean, they should be having to pay reparations and shit like that. So I mean, it should be a no-brainer that it should be going to Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely agree, man. Absolutely agree. We do have a couple other questions here. Mitch Ashdown had one in the chat here. Did the Chinese ever leave Belarus from like 4-6 months ago there, a little while back? I'm myself, I don't.
Sorry, what's the question again? Sorry, what's the question?
Did the Chinese ever leave Belarus from like 4-6 months ago there?
What were they doing in Belarus?
Yeah, I didn't.
Training, weren't they?
Training.
Was it?
I think they're doing joint training.
Ah. I don't recall this, so I'm not sure. Yeah.
Call it.
I
But
could
there's
be
a lot
wrong,
of
but I'm pretty
military
sure.
exercises
Mm.
that go on around the world, joint, like the thing with India and Russia was still doing naval exercises.
Yeah, Sarah has a good one in the chat in here too. Could Zelensky persuade the U.S. to give Ukraine the frozen assets, but spend the money in the U.S. on weapons and stuff, and then that way America benefits from it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's been talked about quite a
think
bit.
that's on the table already. Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it, because this is the transactional president. There has to be something for him in the deal. So, spend of money in the country, blah, blah, right?
It's this back payment, which is just such a vile thing. And he would just keep the money and not give the arms, it would seem, if he could.
Yeah.
That's another thing that Trump has been sour about, was this, that Europe has these, was it 500 billion? And he did talk about this, that he does want that to be spent in United States.
Mm. Yeah. There's an angle for it, right? I can see that for sure. What's going on, Chungus, over the chat your way? Anybody got any cool points that was being addressed?
Yeah, well, there's a mention about the banks and politicians are afraid that other nations will be scared to bank in Europe if the EU can take their money, even
Exactly.
if these are super extenuating circumstances. But I would say that as long as they don't behave like Russia is behaving, they wouldn't have to worry about anything. But when you're a genocidal maniac of a country and you're bombing children every day, I would expect your money to be taken.
Yeah, I got to agree there, man. That's well said for sure.
Chungus, isn't that a bit like the argument of why America's not part of the ICC? Because they do want to be able to carry out military actions in foreign states if they see the need, and they don't want the International Criminal Court to come for them?
I would. I'd also believe there's business deals so tied with the oligarchs that they have it that way for a reason as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Another one here. How about the funds are kept in the bank, but switch ownership to Ukraine? Then Ukraine can use the interest on the funds, but the bank still has the assets in hand as, collateral. It's a good angle. That's Mr. Nobody in the chat there. Thanks.
I know there's been a bunch of plans presented how to deal with these, because I have a couple of friends that have dealt with this, and think tanks, and they've presented something similar to that as a plan to get these in terms of like interest and stuff.
Mm.
So that's actually pretty close to what I think they're looking at doing.
Well, there's also already been loans given to Ukraine that are being paid by the interest of the Russian frozen assets. So that's already been done. It's just how to continue it.
Yeah.
Gosh, an interesting crossroads. Well, God, imagine how we'll all feel imagine how everybody will feel if it goes back to Russia. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That would be
That'll
awful.
just prolong everything.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
It was so vile, so vile. So on a brighter topic, I did a little comparison chart. I don't know if you saw it, for how much communities give in regards trucks or pickups or various vehicles to Ukraine. And so far we've given, the Swedes have given 913 vehicles, with Blagula Bilen. Car4Ukraine's got 606 that they've sent. Pickups for Peace has got 595. They're just about to hit their 600th vehicle. NAFO's got 578, but they'll probably do a convoy sometime after Easter. And then there's Jeeps for Peace. But apparently there's other organizations in other countries. But it's really hard to find these organizations if you've not got their language.
Right.
But the total amount of that in dollar value is in, the tens of millions.
Yeah.
It's quite extraordinary what the community has contributed. And I'm not talking about drones or humanitarian aid or any of the other things. So these things that we do, buying trucks, is just so generous and so, it's people doing what they can as individuals for Ukraine, but it makes a huge difference on the ground to the soldiers. And, we really have to continue this while they're so insecure about anything else. At least we can get them in and out of the firing line. And it was quite, when I did the financial contribution, it was really very moving to think how much it amounted to. Extraordinary.
It is. It's watching it, being a part of it, and seeing everything unfold, and the idea of crowdfunding towards the war effort in the early days. I never thought it could be anything like it is. The amount of the dollar figure alone, I never would have thought this possible. Like, war is funded by governments. I never would have thought this. It's unbelievable. It's a great response from people. We need more though. We need more. Sorry, but we
need
do.
More. We need more. So we've already given in truck value, in trucks, 43 million. That's in euros. That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
But these things are getting also blown up, and we need to keep this going. We need to, I notice a friend of the channel, Viper, had his a truck just totally destroyed this week. And he said that it was pinned by a drone, and they all got out with minor injuries, but then the mortar came in and totally destroyed the truck. And so it's irretrievable. But it's really heartwarming that we're doing this with crowdfunding, but we need more. We need more action. We need to be more generous. I know times are tough, and everything
Uncertain.
costs more, but you've got to put your money where the value really is for the world, and keep giving. That's all I can say.
It's very important indeed. We are going to get ourselves into roundtable wrap-up mode here, because then I can end on time, and I can bugger off and be a good parent for a while. Slavy, do you want to take us around, and we'll say bye to everybody?
Absolutely. Let's start at the bottom. Kansi, why don't you say your last goodbyes?
Well, I'd rather make a point about the trucks and the donations for the Cars for Ukraine Easter Pisanki fundraiser.
Awesome.
These trucks save lives. My personal experience was donating a truck that saved 17 people, evacuated 17 people before it got blown up.
Wow.
There's other stories where, NAPO just had a short put out a while ago that 79 people were evacuated in 24 hours with one truck.
Wow.
So these trucks are lives.
Yeah.
Wow. That's your dollars really count when that can be done, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. They're really life-saving, aren't they?
Lifeline for sure.
Andrew,
can you please say your final thoughts, please?
Sure. Thank you guys again for having me on the panel. Mercado Media. I just went back from the Action Summit in DC, so I'm going to be talking about that tonight on stream. Actually, tonight's my Ukraine update, so I'll be doing that here in like 15 minutes or so. All the latest news, and then also reacting to my boy Wick, who went on Tim Pool's podcast and debated Lactoid, which I did, and we destroyed Lactoid. So I'm hoping that Wick did great, because he hosted the debate, and me, Dylan, and Anna took on Lactoid and like a Marxist guy, I guess. Yeah. So
his name is Lactoid.
The MAGA guy was Lactoid, and the far left guy was non-smoker or whatever, and they were on the same side. Yeah. So we debated them and destroyed them. So I'm going to watch now. Tim Pool had Lactoid, the guy we debated, and then the guy that hosted the debate, Wick, is on the side for Ukraine. So I'm going to react to him tonight.
Cool. I'm
And
gonna
then,
have to check that. Yeah.
And then we're hoping to have, I can have Canty and Chungus on for a few minutes before you guys do your streams to promote your fundraiser. If you guys are available, I'll hit you up after this. And then Last of Us tonight. We're continuing that.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Chungus, please go ahead with your final thoughts.
Yeah, well, I'd just like to thank Claire to accidentally adding me to the Signal Chat group and give me the opportunity to fundraise with them.
100% clean on OPSEC.
It's been a great opportunity, being that I had no clue who she was and just got into the chat. No, on serious note, guys, like Renegade Chungus YouTube channel, still small. I got 865 subs. I'm trying to grow. I don't ever plan to stop fundraising. I have Ukrainian friends over there fighting right now. Talked to them. They're absolutely. We got him a truck on a fundraiser before this one. He's out there in a convoy. He's got an M2 Browning on the back. They're putting in work. The 14th Mechanized Brigade behind the scenes. We just raised another generator. Shout out to Paige in Kansas for funding that one. She didn't even ask for donations. So I'm gonna have to do something special for her. I plan to have her on for interview. Some other people from Sacramento on an interview. We're going to do a cross interview with the radio channel there. We got a lot going on over here. Like I said, as long as I've got a channel, I'm going to be fundraising. That's what it's all about. So please come over and throw me some subs. That'd be great. Shamelessly plug the subs right here.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, the mods are dropping his link right now, so you can give it a click, get over there and tickle those buttons and show him some love.
Yeah, one more note. We will defile our bodies on stream, Canty, Luden, and myself. We've done some terrible things for donations. So if you want to see some great entertainment, you want to see me get cross-eyed drunk on Polish pickles and brandy, dude, it's gonna happen. So
awesome.
Sign me up. I do love the what you guys do. Provide people entertainment, and then people will want to donate for sure.
Yes.
So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Great idea. Rudy from Rudy Reacts, with your final thoughts, please.
Yeah, it was a great panel. I'll be covering any upcoming protests that they'll be having out here. So I know they do have them here pretty often. So I'll be down there just checking them out and stuff. So yeah, my channel's still steadily growing and stuff too. It's almost about actually, I think I'm just a couple away from 900 subs. So,
cool.
Yeah, just go over there and subscribe, and I'll try and do better with posting for the fundraising for the Car for Ukraine. So, I've been kind of slacking on that, but yeah, other than that, it was great.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone, please subscribe. That's so very important. Remember of social currency. It goes a long way.
Exactly.
And Claire, with your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. Do you remember those? I think they were from China, maybe Japan, but I think maybe it was Japan, where people used to, this might be the wrong generation to talk to, but they used to have a TV show where people would injure themselves and the audience would all be laughing. And they famously used to get a truck to drag you down a rocky hill with your bare bum on the rocks. And that reminds me of what Chungus and Canty are doing in a way. They're doing these crazy Japanese TV shows where they defile their bodies and everybody laughs and then gives money. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, my final thoughts are just for Ukraine, of course. For all the drama that's going on in America, Ukraine's there fighting for its life. And the best we can do is support them, because America has to play itself out with global finances and protests and politics. And hopefully we have a wholesome America at the end of the day. But in the meantime, Ukrainians are fighting with their lives and dying on the front and dealing with a brutal, torturing, child stealing, mother raping. Yep. I mean, everything vile and disgusting about humans is exhibited by the Russians. And I just think we have to just dig deep now to support Ukraine. Financially, I mean, we have to dig deep because they're not getting a lot of help from elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's my final thought.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the panel. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. To all the viewers, thank you so much. Don't forget to tap, tap, tap. Social currency goes a long way. And please remember this, Ukraine isn't just fighting for its own survival. It's standing where freedom holds the line. When we stand with them, we're defending the liberty that lives in every American's heart. These are times unlike any before. We must choose unity. We must choose courage. And above all, we must choose each other. Because if freedom falls there, it will fall everywhere. So stand up, speak out, stay human. God bless America, and Slava Ukraini.
Well said, Heroam Slava. Couple of shout outs I want to get in before we end here. We've got Mr. Nobody gifting out another 5 memberships. Huge thanks there. We've got Haji. I'm not sure which way that is. Super chat here. Have Russians suddenly stopped stealing from their government? Meanwhile, penguins refuse to shift penguin production to the U.S. Awesome one. And then one more super chat in from Haji as well here. Has anyone seen the portrait of Trump commissioned by Putin and delivered by Witkoff? I actually forgot to look. I didn't see it. But I can't believe how that worked out. That
It wasn't a portrait. It was an icon.
Oh.
It was an icon, which is like a church saint.
Religious thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
that's all.
And then we got Stephen Walsham with another big direct donation as well here. Found some more. You all do an awesome job. Huge thanks, Steve. Huge shout to Steve Walsh there. And remember, there's links in the description for most of the people here. Make sure you get over and sub to Slavi's channel. Make sure you get to the Car for Ukraine donation page. You got Rudy's channel to sub. We got Humongous Chungus here. We've got Canteen Luton. And of course, I'm sure most of you are, but if not, get over and sub to Merck's channel because you're going to get some hands-on, in your face at the demonstration, type coverage. You're going to love it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Huge shout out to our team who do so much for us in the background. It's not funny. And Slava Ukraine.
Get on, Slava.
Heroam Slava.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. See you soon.
It's over. Go home. Go.